Welcome to the TotalBoat shop. We're here in our final part of our video series on how to make a mold and lay up a carbon fiber part. Today we're going to be doing a special kind of carbon fiber layup for our motorcycle seat. It is also known as a herringbone. A herringbone, as you can see here on this helmet, is where the carbon fiber intersects at a 90-degree angle along the center line of the part. To achieve this, what you'll want to do is lay up the first half of your part with the fabric in the right orientation. As you can see here, I've already laid up the first half of my seat, and I have some lines showing me where the fabric is oriented. Here's the part right now. There you can see the carbon fiber coming in at a 45-degree angle along our center line, and the next half that we're going to lay up is going to come up at a 45-degree angle at our center line as well, creating a 90-degree angle between the weaves. Once your template is made, you're ready to start cutting your material. As you see, I've placed my template on my material with the lines on my template following the lines on the carbon fiber material. This will dictate the way our herringbone will line up in our part. I'm going to be using some electric scissors. It makes the cutting job a lot faster and a lot easier. Once your material is all cut, it's time to prep your mold for your layup. I'm going to be using some TR high temp wax. I'll be applying it with the sponge that comes in the can in circular motions. Let it dry for about 2 to 3 minutes. It'll haze up, and then I'll be wiping it off again in circular motions. Once the wax is all dry and wiped off, my mold is now ready to either lay up, or in this case, since I will be vacuum bagging, I'm going to apply some tacky tape all around the perimeter. A good trick when doing a vacuum bag layup is to cover your tacky tape and painter's tape, because if you get epoxy on your tacky tape, it can become a nightmare. This will just help keep things clean. Once your painter's tape is applied, you're ready to start doing your layup. So I'm going to grab my first visible layer of carbon and just fit it into my mold. Make sure that it's lined up properly. It's easier to do this while it's dry, as the carbon will move around. Once I've got my carbon fiber in the mold, I'm just going to move it around as gently as possible to not distort the weave, and just try to place it to match the previous piece that I molded. So I have my trick marks. Kind of know exactly where that's supposed to go. Fits like a glove. Come back around, goes down, all good, all good. We're going to be using TotalBoat 5:1 epoxy. We'll be using the slow epoxy to give us a little bit of extra work time laying in our carbon and our fiberglass. When you start laying in your second half, you want to be very gentle with the carbon and make sure it's laid in flat and well consolidated to the mold. Once you're happy with its position, you can start to carefully brush on the epoxy in order not to distort the weave. Once your visible layer is saturated, you want to keep building up your laminate. We're going to use the same process as before. I'm going to lay in pieces of carbon and then just wet them out with a little bit of epoxy on the brush. You don't have to be as careful anymore, because you don't have to be worried about distorting your visible weave. We then added a layer of double bias carbon. This is a different weave than originally used, just to change the orientation of the carbon laminate and to make a stronger seat. Our last layer is a Kevlar fiberglass hybrid weave to give the seat some impact resistance and electrical insulation. Again, here the process is the same. You just want to wet out the material with your paintbrush using the 5:1 epoxy. Once we laid all of our carbon and fiberglass into the mold, we pulled a vacuum overnight, put a coat of clear on it, and that left us with this here. As you can see, the clear really brings out the carbon. The part really looks great. I'm pretty happy with it. I had to do some minor modifications to it to make it fit onto the bike better. It's one of the things I really like about working with fiberglass and composites, is that you can always trim back, modify, and rebuild parts to fit. It just takes a little bit of work and some finesse, but that's something that you guys will learn.